This is your 5-minute warning. Are you guys excited? Are you ready to do some important things this weekend? Yeah, Anthony's ready. Look, he's got Caribbean food. He's got the fist of power up in the air. Just some housekeeping stuff. Restrooms are back in that corner, right? They are tiny, but they are powerful and clean. So one note, though, there's no lock on the door, so please knock before you barge into the restroom, or it'll turn into a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, and we don't want that. Nobody got that reference too many seasons back? Okay. We're going to get started here in a couple minutes, so if you can have your seat, get your last bit of Leon's Caribbean, which is right up on East Warrington Avenue. He's an awesome guy. He makes great food. You should check it out as you kind of get to know this neighborhood here of Allentown. Thanks, guys. So the theme for this weekend is mighty and small, right? Like this is going to be a great experience. If this is your first time doing a startup weekend, hang on. You guys all got great ideas, and there's some really talented people in the room. I know many of them personally who are here to help move your idea forward. And then tomorrow, a whole nother 20 people come, mentors and coaches that are going to sit in your groups and really connect you to the correct people in the neighborhood that can help you do cool things, do great things. So we have a whole bunch of new technology that we're deploying here today, and I don't know which of it's going to work. Oh, that worked. That's good. This is Startup Weekend Civic, right? Let's have a big round of applause. Get excited. Get the blood pumping. Consider where you are. You're spending a whole weekend with us. It's amazing. It's good stuff. Please, please, please use the hashtag. Tweet about this stuff, talk about this stuff, because what you're doing can have a real impact on our neighborhoods, can have a real impact on the livability of our city, can have a real impact for the people that live in our great communities. So be proud of this, be active participants, ask lots of questions, swear at us, eat lots of good food, and do everything you can to make this a vibrant and experience that you're going to take away and remember moving forward. Wi-Fi's Startup Weekend, if you haven't figured that out yet, there you go, right? So first we got to give some huge thanks to the people that organized all this stuff. So if you are pictured up here, if you could raise your hand so that people could applaud for you in a very, Sienna, she's back there too, and Colleen. These weekends take a lot of time to put together, take a lot of money to put together, and we couldn't have done it without Knowledge and Sienna and Colleen and Kamrul, who's now back in Bangladesh doing things that Bangladeshis do, and Knowledge and Elise. So all these people have been a huge help, everything from writing blogs to fundraising to managing social media to organizing all the food like Sienna did for us. And then we have a very special guest in from the West Coast who is our official Startup Weekend facilitator, Michael Norton. He's back there in the back. You could tweet at him. He is the red hype. I don't know if it's more red or more hype, but we'll find out as we get to know him which of those two descriptors are most appropriate, but we'll see. And we also need to give a big shout out to RE360, who also gave us the space, but are huge supporters of the work we do up here in Allentown. And with that, I'll take a minute to kind of tell you about this neighborhood, because it's a neighborhood in transition, and it's a neighborhood full of really mindful people that are interested in making that transition equitable, making that transition something that everybody can participate in. So we have great partners like the Hilltop Alliance, and these guys who are a real estate development company that are not just interested in sort of commoditizing the act of economic redevelopment, but they're also interested in keeping people that live in these neighborhoods, here in these neighborhoods, as the neighborhood changes in character. So if you've been watching our Twitter feed, if you've been watching the Hilltop Alliance with the work that they do, you'll recognize that this neighborhood has changed a lot even in the last 18 months, and we expect that to continue. And if we're not mindful about how this neighborhood grows, there are some negative aspects to that growth, but be very aware that there's a lot of people with boots on the ground here that are interested in doing this in an impactful way. So think about that as you think about the ideas that you're going to pitch tonight and how your idea might interface with this idea of rebuilding a neighborhood, but doing so in a really cool and inclusive and equitable way. We also have other great partners like New Sun Rising. They are our nonprofit partner on the weekend, and they're going to bring to you tomorrow a whole bunch of really amazing coaches and mentors. Some are in the room, like Ron Gatos, and I saw Alan earlier, and I don't know who else is a mentor tomorrow. Anybody else? This young man and Mr. Michael Sorg and Tom Jones in the back. They're great. They're really smart. They are everything from angel investors to business development people to people that have experience in content marketing like Mike over here. So they're going to really be able to help you take your idea forward and maybe fill some gaps that you don't have on your team. And here's the whole list. So foundation people and Urban Innovation 21, just a whole bunch of really, really, really smart, active people in the community. And then Sunday night, this is the best part, really, honestly. This is the part that I'm most excited about. Your idea is going to go in front of people that can directly impact whether or not it has the cash to move forward, right? There are people that are going to be sitting in judgment of you that have direct access to huge amounts of money. And if they like your idea and they like what you're doing, they can take you to that next step. They can provide you with the funding to make sure that your idea can move forward. So we have people from the Hillman Foundation like Lori Fink. We have Idea Foundry, who is also a sponsor here tonight, that can put you into their incubator called Intersector. And we have the Forbes Fund, which did the Up Prize recently. So there's direct access to the people with the money who can move you forward. And then we have another set of judges that can connect you, right? We have people from the startup like Jason Wolf, who works for gift cards, and Bruce Krause, who's city council president, and also Laura. Where's Laura? She's right there. She's awesome. Laura is in city government, one of Bill Peduto's best friends, and is in charge of the Open Data Initiative. So with all this network that you see up here on the slide, you're going to be able to really leverage it and really think about what's next for this idea that you've developed over the last 54 hours. And then what would a startup weekend be without sponsorship? And we have Steve and Rent Ref in the back who are here tonight, so make sure you thank those guys personally. Steve Sharon and Rent Ref. We have Jonathan and Steve from Rent Ref over there. And we have everybody from MetaMesh who installed the wireless infrastructure here tonight, to Alpha Lab, and then Mike, who used to be with Startup Town. Great sponsors, people that are interested in collaboration, people that are interested in helping you guys fill the gaps in your ideas and make you guys successful and able to pursue these things, right? So without further ado, one more, I'm sorry. We have some people that would like to tell you more, right? So where's my spec folks? Come on up here, Sarah. We have a cool twist on Startup Weekend. We're actually going to give you guys data if you want to work in the data space. And so we have Sarah here, who is going to tell you all about the data that you might use as part of your exercise in building out the programming that you're going to do. Ready?
Hey guys, I'm Sarah Longo. I'm from Carnegie Mellon University's CREATE Lab, which stands for Community Robotics Education and Technology Empowerment. So you can check us out online at cmu.createlab.org. But what we've brought today is the spec sensor. So this is an air quality monitor that anyone can put inside their home and track their indoor air quality. So the spec monitors fine particles in the air. Do any of you guys know about fine particles or what they do? Yeah, a couple of you, that's good. So fine particles are very, very tiny. If you pull out a strand of your hair, they're about 1/30th the width of a strand of hair. So they're the particles that you breathe in every day. They're in our air all over the place, especially in Pittsburgh. But they lodge deep into your lungs. They can get into your blood system. They're the kind of particles that you can't cough up, and they cause really bad health problems. So they've been proven to have a decrease on your life expectancy. It can cause asthma, COPD. They're really bad for pregnant moms to be around. It's been linked to autism and ADHD. So they're pretty terrible. And Pittsburgh has really terrible air quality. I don't know if you guys watch in the news the Shenango Coke plant and what happens whenever those emissions are put into the air. It's really terrible. So behind the scenes, SPEC has developed a data repository where all of the data that is collected on a spec goes on to. So we have a very good footprint of what's going on in Pittsburgh. And along with that, the EPA actually puts their federal sensors all over the city, and their data gets put on our data repository. So we have a very awesome set of data that you guys can take advantage of tonight. We're hoping to see some really good projects come out of it. Things that we would love to see: buses idling causes a lot of fine particles. You can track that with a spec. That should show up on the data that we've given to you guys. Same with what's going on at Shenango, like I mentioned before. You can probably see that on the federal sensors, and that will be part of the data that we've given you guys access to tonight. So I hope to see some really awesome projects. We're really excited that Startup Weekend Civic contacted us to do so. And if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm going to pass this around so you guys can take a look at it. Thank you.
So that's really cool, right? Like if you are looking for something impactful to do, you could leverage the data that SPEC is providing, and you can build a project around that. And you could talk to Sarah tonight about that, maybe what that might look like. So if you don't see anything up here that really interests you, here's a really impactful thing you can do right now so you can leverage this data and start thinking about how you might use it creatively. So we have our keynote tonight, and we're super, super excited to have her. She is in charge of the city's new Open Data Initiative. And that's really important because what it's going to do is it's going to allow everyday people access to all these different data sets that the city has been collecting for years and years and years. So she's going to tell us about that tonight. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Laura Mixel. She's awesome. Clap loud. Hi.
You got a clicker for me? All right. Good stuff. Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'd like to start off just by introducing myself. So this is a lovely picture of me in high school, making a funny face over that boy's shoulder. I show this picture sometimes because this is a picture of me in my very first federal job, which was as a page in the United States House of Representatives, which means that I have been a government employee for, gosh, going on 15 years now. So if you're looking for somebody to give you some public sector perspective on some of the work that you've been doing today, I will be happy to do that. But to introduce myself a little further, I am now, my title is Analytics and Strategy Manager in the Mayor's Office, as well as our Office of Innovation and Performance. And prior to that, I worked on strategic planning and performance analytics at the Department of Housing and Urban Development in DC. And as well as after that, I was a fellow with Code for America. How many people have heard of Code for America? Woo! Okay, good. Lots and lots of folks. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about Code for America and some of the work that the city of Pittsburgh is involved with that project, both on the city side and as well as on the volunteer side, which has a lot to do there. So this is a quote that I like to start a lot of my presentations with, which came from Presley Gillespie, who's actually the head of a group called Neighborhood Allies here in the city of Pittsburgh. And he said that data will be for the 21st century what steam engines were for the 18th and electricity in the 20th. And that's really how we try to think about it in the mayor's office and at the city of Pittsburgh. We try to think about digital connectivity, and we try to think about public access to public information as a utility. And we try to think about building that infrastructure as an essential component of what government's responsibility is. And then it's for folks just like everybody in this room, to use that data, to build on that data, to really create an impactful ecosystem. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So 3 components that we'll go over today. So I'm going to talk about open data for transparency. In the city of Pittsburgh, we've done some pretty exciting things over the last 2 years to try to make city operations more visible to the public, both sort of in terms of raw data, but also at this point sort of more, we've spent a lot more time focusing on specific applications to let people take an inside look into some certain areas of government, and I'll give you some links to check out if you haven't seen some of these things. From there, I am going to talk, as Josh mentioned, about our forthcoming open data program. So I'm very excited today to be able to announce when our final launch date is going to be. It's been so long in coming, as well as to give you a little bit of an understanding of how we've approached this project and all that we hope is going to be included and will come from that. And then third of all, this is a call to action. The way that we are publishing this data is absolutely meant to engage you guys, all your friends, all your family. Please come look at our data, help us think about this, tell us what you want to see and how we can better harness the power of digital technology to move our communities forward. Right, Henry? Okay, so first I'll start out by talking about our open data bill. So I really like this picture because, as you can see, so this is me, my friend Matt Barron, policy manager, and Councilwoman Natalia Rudiak, and of course the mayor. And my favorite part about this picture is that it feels to me like the mayor and Natalia might be involved in a rap battle at this moment. She just looks like she's about to drop the mic or something there. But this was a very exciting day. So this was about 18 months ago when we passed our open data bill, which uses the term open by default, which basically means that all data that we are not prohibited from releasing under the state right to know law is open to be included in our open data program. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that every single thing that we have available is going to be available when we launch the Open Data Center, but it means that it could be, which is really exciting for me and my team, and for our jobs in being able to sort of prioritize and think about what we're going to do. All right. So there were three goals that we had when we worked on the open data legislation. The first thing was to set that default to open, which, like I explained that a little bit. Second part was to implement technical best practices. So as a lot of you may know, the city of Pittsburgh is a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of open data. There are lots and lots of cities who have come before us in this world. And so what we tried to do was learn a lot from what those folks have done, both technically and sort of programmatically, and to bring the best of those things into our policies. And then the third thing was to establish processes for assessing and collaboratively developing a disclosure schedule. So this is also something I'll be able to talk a little bit more about as we go forward. So our process for building the legislation was that we actually put it online as a Google Doc. I'm not sure how many people were aware of it when we did this, but we actually allowed people to comment and directly give us feedback on the legislation during the process, which is pretty exciting. That's not something that happens regularly, that the public would actually get access to a bill before it's put before council and given a chance to comment. But this was actually a really fruitful exercise for us, and we got feedback, a lot of really great feedback, both from people in our community and people nationally who've been working on these issues for a while. And through that, we were able to make some really good changes, I think, to make the bill stronger. After we passed the bill, the next thing that we did was to launch the Pittsburgh Data Forum. So this was a website that was up for about a year. It closed pretty recently, a couple months ago. And it asked the question, what data that the city of Pittsburgh maintains would you like to see open and why? So the purpose of this question was just to sort of give us an idea of what it is that people were looking for and what their ultimate sort of use for that data would be. So we got about 150 suggestions and over 600 interactions. This was a software that allowed for upvotes and downvotes and comments and et cetera. So that's how I get to that interactions number. But for us, this was also a great victory in sort of getting this started and making sure that the things that we release with the pilot launch are going to be things that people are interested in and can immediately put to use. So these are two examples of transparency for the city of Pittsburgh in action. So Fiscal Focus Pittsburgh is a website that we launched that shows all the city budget information. So we very frequently to how much is coming in, different funds, et cetera. And this is something that we felt like was really important for transparency purposes. And so we actually launched this website that we worked with partners to create a whole user interface for this to allow people to sort of answer frequently asked questions and do some visualizations there, which is pretty interesting. The second side is the snowplow tracker. So how many people use the snowplow tracker? Yeah, nice. I like to get some good feedback on the snowplow tracker because that was lots of sweat and tears from my team. But so what we did there was we were able to actually put GPSs into the snowplow vehicles and actually tell folks where they are and where they've been. So the future of that, watch for a new launch of the brand new snowplow tracker coming to a Pittsburgh near you for the 2015-2016 snow and ice season. It's going to be great. Yeah. But that's another example where we felt like we really wanted to invest early and often in building a user interface to allow people to immediately access and use that data, in addition to making the raw data available should people want to build other additional applications on this. Chicago is actually a really interesting example of this, I think, where they built their own visualization of their snowplow tracker data and released the open data at the same time. And then a group called DataMade actually went out and built a visualization that's about 10 times better. More interesting, allows you to do lookups, just has some better visualization characteristics to it. So if you're interested in talking about the merits of various snowplow tracker websites later, please hit me up because that's my bread and butter. So let's talk about open data and partnerships. Did you know that there are 131 municipalities in Allegheny County? That's bananas, right? So each one of these municipalities is responsible for a whole lot of their own operations, for a whole lot of their own planning and purchasing and buying, and there's a lot of efficiencies that we understand can be created over these things. There's also a lot of problems that don't pay any attention to municipal boundaries, and we can talk about a few of those later. So there's 131 municipalities in Allegheny County, and this is what a typical open data site for an American city looks like. So this is the city of San Francisco. San Francisco does a great job. They publish a lot of information right now, definitely a volume that I aspire to. They do a good job of organizing it, it looks great, but their model essentially is that as a city government, they contract with a software as a service provider, spin up a portal, put some data on it, call it a day. We did open data. What we're doing is pretty different, and I'm excited to tell you about it. Yeah, so this is my big time intro slide. Welcome to the Western Pennsylvania Regional Data Center, a groundbreaking partnership of government and university participation. So this is the who, what, and where of the data center. So I am very glad to tell you tonight, finally launching on October 15th, 2015. So the data center is actually going to be housed at the University of Pittsburgh. Our main partners are the University Center for Social and Urban Research, which is actually a pretty old part of Pitt. It's been around since the 60s. And it's going to be the official data portal for the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County to start. But the idea is that the data center is going to be flexible, extensible, and inclusive. So we want to be able to host data coming from any of the 131 other municipalities in Allegheny County, as well as some of our intermunicipal organizations, SPC from the conference, as well as from nonprofits who have data that they want to share. Neighborhood organizations who might be doing various censuses. We're talking to the art museums, we're talking to the libraries, we're certainly talking to the school districts about ways that we can do open data and really provide a central portal to be a one-stop shop for open data for people who are wanting to be providers and people who are wanting it to build applications, to do analysis, to do visualizations, to whatever it is that you and your group want to do to build going forward. In addition to being that technical data hub, we also are looking to build legal infrastructure, which is a lot harder than you think. I've spent lots and lots and lots of hours in rooms with lawyers over the last 6 months, but I did it all for you, so it's all worth it. All the data that's going to go up on this portal is going to be licensed effectively. We're pushing everyone toward a 0.0 Creative Commons license for everything. Some of them might have some other licenses and stipulations established with them, but the terms of use will be clear coming from each data set so that people can be confident as they build on these things going forward. So this is my little graphic here that we use, and people make fun of me for using the hearts as nonprofits, especially if you're aware of sort of the political climate around nonprofit status here in the city, but so on and so forth. So, the idea is that governments, nonprofits, and universities can all contribute to the portal, and then we can have all these different sort of groups who are using the information coming out of it, right? So we think about the university partnerships as being a big part of this for us. The city of Pittsburgh's done a lot of work in the last 18 to 20 months to grow our relationships with our local universities so that we can benefit from a lot of the research that's being done there. Also, we want to push it back into the governments and nonprofits so we can use that data for management. Here in the city of Pittsburgh, a lot of the data that we rely on for some of our basic operations comes from Allegheny County. And if we don't have sort of clear relationships outlined to get some of that basic information from them on taxes, on health, on education, on all these things which are handled at the county level of government, we have problems doing our own management at the city level. So the data center helps to do that. And then in the middle, we talk about citizen and media access to data. And that's where a lot of you come in. So I've got a couple examples of project areas. I chose regional land banking and sewer remediation as some of the main big, intractable public policy issues that have sort of plagued this region for decades, which require an intermunicipal information infrastructure on the bottom to be able to make the kinds of decisions that we need to go forward. Does everybody know that we're under a $3.6 billion consent decree from the EPA? Right? Everybody knows that? That means that our community is actually failing so bad at keeping our rivers clean from raw sewage that we're failing to an extent that the United States government does not let communities fail. And if we do not comply with the terms of the consent decree, all kinds of things could happen and they could start taking our money to remediate it themselves. These are problems that we have to solve, and water flows downhill and doesn't care what municipality it's in. We have to have intermunicipal data sharing in order to face some of these really big public policy issues that face us. And we hope that the data center and that the sort of nonpartisan presence of the University of Pittsburgh as the holder of that data can help be an answer to these problems. We've got a whole lot of other use cases that we've talked about here. So we are blessed in our region. One of our major strengths, I think, is the fact that we have so many community organizations and so many neighborhood level organizations that actually, in a lot of cases, have some really great people that work there who have reasonably high capacity to use this data and certainly to use applications built on this data to make the most out of their budgets and do the most toward their missions with increased access to information. We want to support those people, we want to create communities of practice, and we want to think about government information as a resource which is available to them and to do their programming. So here we get to the final section, which is all about you guys, community as capacity. So one of the main reasons that we release open data is because we know as government that we don't have all the answers, that we don't have all the resources. Josh introduced me as a judge by saying I was somebody who had access to lots and lots of money, and I laughed. Have you guys, I mean, come on, the city of Pittsburgh, we're trying, guys, but lots and lots of money we do not have. So what we do have is lots of data and lots of problems, and lots of ability to sort of convene people around those problems. You know, I'm more than happy to talk about some of the public policy issues like sewer remediation, like the regional land bank, which are things that sort of fall to the public sector by default. But also, as the city, we want to support our neighborhood organizations. We want to support the CDCs and the local advocacy groups. And a big way that we can do that, we think, is through information and through convening people who can help us to build applications which will support their work. So this is a big part of the way I think about this. So I think of the regional data center and all of the data that we're about to release through that. And by the way, I'm more than happy to talk about the sort of the technical side of that. I think it's going to be a pretty good solution. I think the developers in the room are going to like it pretty well. Everything comes with a built-in API. We've got a lot of good documentation. We've got a lot of really good technical people working with us who I think are going to really make this worth your while and relatively easy to deal with. But what we're providing as a government is the infrastructure. In order to truly make this an ecosystem, and truly to make this something that produces value for people, that produces applications and things that are consumable by the general public, we're going to need everybody's help to do that. This is an exercise in democratization of data, right? So democratization of data is a little bit of an anachronistic term at this point. It was something people said in the 90s, but I kind of want to go back to it because I think that, and I think a lot of the people in this room understand that information is power, that data is power, and we want to give everybody access to as much as we can. So one of the main ways that we have been engaging with the public and trying to have people who have skills like yours help us think about how best to go about this is through the Code for America Brigade. So who's heard of OpenPGH or the Code for America Brigade? Cool, so a couple people. So OpenPGH is still kind of in its infancy, right? And I'm really hoping that it's going to take off significantly once we finally launch the data center next month. So Code for America, for those of you who don't know, has a couple different programs under its umbrella. And one of those is the Brigade program. There are brigades in something like 200 cities across the world at this point. And brigades are made up of basically people with skills, people who identify as technologists, but also people who don't, people who are just interested in open data or interested in community engagement and organization, who come together to work with open data and technology for civic good in their community. So basically for a lot of people, what the brigade constitutes is a sort of skills-based volunteering that goes on an ongoing basis. So people are always coming up with new projects, building new things. There's a huge amount of projects available on the brigade GitHub accounts that people are forking and using in other cities and making available to people in their communities. So it's a pretty exciting community, international at this point, and we're excited to get Pittsburgh more on the map with the brigade program. That picture in there, that's Councilwoman Natalia Rudiak's head. She took a selfie at one of those things. And that meeting, I will say, it was on one of those February days when it was like negative a million degrees, and we still got like 45, 50 people out, and I was really excited. So we need to sort of pick some of that momentum back up now that we're gonna have a lot more data available for people. But we do have a couple projects at this point that I would definitely consider to be successes. So let me tell you the story of the police blotter. So when we started the police blotter, every day they published a new PDF, everybody's favorite, a new PDF, which Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, new Sunday came around, they'd take down the previous Sunday, put up the new Sunday, and that was it. It was on a pretty obscure sub section of pittsburghpa.gov, our official city website, and it was very hard to read. So we actually had a guy in OpenPGH who built this huge PDF parser that was pulling all the bits of data out of this PDF, creating a database, and from there he went on to build a web map, which every day geo-references all of the points which are available through the blotter and creates a map so that people can do lookups, people can see what's going on in their neighborhoods at a much easier pace. We actually took that map in, we had a meeting with the chief of police, and we showed him this and we said, gosh, chief, we built all this and we could build a lot more. Wouldn't it be easier if we had a better file format? So from that meeting, they started releasing CSVs, and with the launch of the regional data center, we'll be releasing a daily API that will include all of the incidents of crime from the previous day. So it'll be pretty up to date, all the arrests that occurred in the city on the previous day. And from there, we hope a lot of other people will help us to think about how we can best visualize this data, how we can best communicate it to the people who are trying to do something about it. Let's try to convene some of the block watches. How can this be helpful for them? How can this be helpful for someone finding a new apartment? Or certainly, from my perspective, working for the city, for the police themselves in trying to develop better strategies going forward. Another example is pgh.st, which is live right now, and which we're about to launch in conjunction with a new 311 application, which I hope people will be excited about as well. So pgh.st actually won the Steel City Code Fest 2 years ago, got the first prize. That was a city project, which took a giant file from our environmental services division of all of the trash pickup information and built a really nice lookup to be able to have you look up where your house is, when your trash pickup is, and then it, free of charge, sends you a text message or an email to remind you when trash is about to be picked up and whether it's a trash or recycling week. It also does special notifications for yard waste and when there's city holidays, etc. And a use case for this that a lot of people have brought up that I didn't necessarily think of is that not only can you sign up yourself for these reminder text messages or emails, you could sign up your partner, your teenage child, your roommate's boyfriend, whoever it is that you want to be reminded to take the trash out pretty easily. It also does some pretty neat visualization around helping us to show what is and isn't recyclable in the city. I don't know if anybody has kept or remembers the PDFs that get sent out from our Division of Environmental Services. I will definitely promise you the person that put them together was not a designer. So, you know, again, these are all sort of opportunities to help people better understand the services and the things that we have available in the city, as well as to give us feedback on ways that we could be doing things better. My final message is that it's all happening. So we actually have an OpenPGH pitch night coming up this Thursday at 6:30 at the Carnegie Library in Lawrenceville. They switched the OpenPGH meetings between the Pittsburgh libraries, which is great that the Carnegie Public Libraries allow us to do that. And it also makes us cross rivers, which is good. Glad to be crossing a river tonight. Absolutely. And we will be launching, at long last, the Western Pennsylvania Regional Data Center on October 15th. I am so excited, and you can catch me afterward, and I can tell you a little bit more about some of the data sets that we're going to be releasing. But it's going to be great. I would love to see you all there, and I would love to see you all working with our data after we publish it. Our goal for the data center is definitely to be responsive and to be conversant with people who are interested in the data. I want to be taking suggestions on new data sets to release, questions? Can we get in touch with these people? You know, this is really, we're trying to design a two-way street here. And I hope that you'll help us to be on the other side of the street once we get the data out. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to shake your hand.
All right.
I'll take your flipper too. Got very excited. We found these very affordable wireless microphones. There might be a downside to them. We're still trying to figure that out. So this is exciting stuff. And you're here in this room to start thinking about how you might deploy that big data that the city is going to offer. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm going to bring up Michael Norton, who is our facilitator for the evening. And we're going to get started on the pitches. And we're going to get going on forming teams and getting this deployed. Here we go. Give a big round of applause to Michael.
Thank you, Josh. Thanks, guys. I am really excited to be here all weekend working with you, getting my hands dirty, getting in the mix, and learning a lot from you, teaching you a few things if I can, but mostly just having a great time. We're going to start off with a little icebreaker. Not that you seem like you need to break any ice, but this is going to prepare us also for the rest of the activities, for the rest of the weekend. Half Baked is the name of it, and I'm just going to jump right in. I don't know where these animations go. We don't want to see that yet. Let's back up. So, how are we going to start this? I'm going to need a couple of volunteers, preferably organizers or volunteers. Josh, you want to anoint a couple of people? 1, 2, actually, give me 4. Did anybody ever dream of being Vanna White? Come on, somebody did. Yes. So I need a couple of people. I know I'm off camera. Sorry. I'm not used to having to be on an X. I need 2 people to hold these. Or actually, no, we just need 2 people. Let's do this. You can work right here or wherever you like. You get a marker, and you're commissioned to write. And now, I'm not going to explain this icebreaker. I'm just gonna do it, and you'll see it happen as we go. I need to crowdsource some words. So let's say you'll be in charge of writing anything that they say, which is an adjective or an adverb. You'll be in charge of writing down anything you hear that is a noun. Person, place, thing. Let's keep it simple, right? So this will probably work if we just start blurting things out, because most people are shy, so we'll only get one every 3 seconds on average. No, that you're not shy in Pittsburgh. Did you guys hear any of that? This is fantastic. Keep them coming. Is that a noun or an adjective? That's going to make a great startup. How about yins? That's great. Magnetic. Astronaut. Green. I don't know what that is. Is this a Pittsburgh thing? Fair enough. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, that's just enough. That'll be perfect. So now, let's do this. You are about the right number of people to divide into 12 teams. So I'm going to have you stand and divide yourselves by your birth month. And you don't have to be honest about that. I don't really care. I'm just trying to divide you into 12. So let's do January over here by Jason. Want to wave your hand? No, your February is going to go there because January is up here in the corner, February, and then March back there. Come on, get moving. Let's go. Just around the corner, you can find yourselves. You're self-starters, right? Everybody here is an entrepreneur. So then December is going to end up down here. She's got it. And find your month, everybody. And everybody in the room is welcome to join. All the organizers, volunteers, mentors, have some fun. Get in the mix here. If you find that your month only has 2 or 3 people, you're welcome to merge with a neighboring month. If you find your team has 10 people, I encourage you to divide into 2. I figure the average group size tonight's probably about 7. 7 times 12, maybe 6. So we're aiming for 12 groups of 6. If you have more than 6 people, shed some over to February. February and January are now merging. February and January are merging. Is this March? What do you have, 3? March, January, February, and March are all merging. You guys are one big group now. You've got a whole quarter of the year over there. All right, let's call that good. What do you guys need? Anybody? You're April? April needs help. Who's got December? Don't be stingy. November needs help. Okay, come on, guys. Spread out. Make it fair. Can someone from March hit who's last in March? March 30th or so? You could easily be April. I mean, it could have happened either way. So, now let's form a little circle in your group, and everybody's going to raise one arm and start pointing at each other. You are now divining your leader. Continue pointing at each other and moving your arm around until everyone is pointing at one person. That person, by unanimous democratic vote, other than their own vote, is now your leader. And I want you to send that person up to me. Send me your leaders. Now, leaders, your task is to circle one word on each of these pages. Grab a pen, circle a word on each page. You want to circle one noun and one non-noun. Whatever those ended up being, it doesn't really matter. Remember your 2 words. Take them back to your group. Who's back there? We'll make the leaders do this. Okay, so leaders, choose 2 words. And then go to the back table. On the far right of the back table, leaders, you need to go to the back table, and you're going to grab, what do I want you to grab? A blue pad. Grab a blue pad and 2 Sharpies. Retrieve 2 Sharpies and a blue pad and return to your group. So now you have 2 words, 2 Sharpies, and a blue pad. And that is the extent of your leadership. Congratulations. You have led perfectly. If there are not enough blue pads for every group, just rip one in half, not sideways. Yeah, rip it sideways. Oh, look at how thorough you are, identifying the months. I've never seen anyone do that. Leave it to Pittsburgh. Okay, is everybody ready? Does anybody need more time? Did anybody have an issue with any instructions? You should have 2 special words, a blue pad and 2 Sharpies. Open that pad. You're going to need to write on the paper. Key it. You don't have a blue pad. They are back there on the table on the far right by the drinks, where the drinks were. And grab 2 Sharpies while you're there. Now I'm going to give you a few minutes to accomplish as a group three things. With those two words, you are going to form a new startup. Your first task will be to brainstorm as many things as you can that have to do with those words. You know, do a brain dump, brainstorm, get as many ideas as you can down on the paper, start narrowing it down, and then hone in on something. Once you've got that, brilliant, unique idea, I need a quick business plan and a logo. So designate the most artistic person in your group to draw a logo on one of those blue pieces of paper. You're going to just rip one blue piece of paper off and give it to the artist and give them one pen, and they have been commissioned. And the rest of you can write on the pad. Okay, are there any questions? By the end of this exercise, I want from each group a business plan and a logo and a name. You have to have a name for your startup. Okay, you have 5 minutes. Go. I notice a lot of you are live tweeting your progress. I know, right? It's crazy. But I love it. Remember our tags, SW Civic PGH, and our Twitter handle, @SW Civic PGH. If you tag and tweet at us, we can see you, we can retweet you, we can make some noise. 2 more minutes. Remember your deliverables. We need a startup name, a logo, and a quick business plan. $60 seconds. Okay, pencils down, Sharpies down. Yeah, give yourself a hand. Y'all yens are doing great. Let's all come back to our seats. And wait, before you do that, somebody has naturally emerged in each group as the charismatic leader, presenter type. And they're going to be the ones that come up and join me on stage tonight. and present your startup idea. So why don't you go ahead and grab your logo, and your team can come with you if you like. But essentially what we want to do now is return to our seats, and we're going to stage a little presentation of each idea that kind of warms us up for what the pitches are going to be like later tonight. So we're going to do this kind of pitch style. It's going to be timed. I'm sort of just talking now to stall for you guys that are working late back there, cheating the clock. January, February, what is that about? October? Is that October? I see you. I saw some pretty good ideas out there, and I can't wait to see how you presented. Now, here's how it's going to happen. You're going to come up one at a time. Get off my stage, magnetic ninja. You're going to come up one at a time, and I'll bring you up the stairs over here for safety's sake. And I've put these little things. You can stand right in the middle between your props, and you're going to hold your logo, and you're going to have exactly 60 seconds to tell us about your new business. I'm not going to make you do any kind of structure beyond that, but I am giving you 60 seconds, and it's going to be on a clock on my laptop, and I'm going to sit right here. And Josh, do you want to pass the mic between people? And so here's a little bit of timer practice, because this is how the pitches are going to work later. And I like to say, for the rest of the weekend, in almost every way, I'm here to be your best friend. But when it comes to timing your pitches, Friday night and the final presentations on Sunday night, I am your hardcore worst enemy. I will cut you off at 60 seconds or 5 minutes or whatever it be, to be fair for all the teams. So you're going to get a feel for that 60 seconds during this icebreaker, and we'll just laugh about it. But when you hear the timer, when you have 10 seconds left, you'll hear a buzzer. And when it hits 0, you hear a clapping sound, and then the whole audience will join in and clap. And we'll all just clap. You're going to be holding this microphone with one hand. Many of you have used microphones, and you know that you're scared of them. I don't care. You're going to eat it because we want to hear you. We're live streaming you on television right now. Did you know that? And no, we didn't get permission slips signed. What are those called? Right. So think of this as an ice cream cone, and you want to be close enough that you can lick it. All right? That's a good, but don't. Right. Are we ready? Let's go in order. January, February, March. I think we merged you guys. I'm going to get the timer ready.
Well, thank you. Because it was other way. Yeah. There we go. All right. Let me know when you want me to start.
Okay, 60 seconds on the clock, and go.
All right. The name of our business is called Aardvark. It's basically a late-night food delivery service, and all the food is locally sourced from community members and businesses that are open late at night. And our target audience is just basically drunk and high people. And we take it from wherever it's being sourced from and deliver it directly to your door. That's it.
February. Come on, let's do this quick. February. No, March. March. Who's March? Oh, April. Who's April? If we could have May queue up as well, please. Careful. Steps.
So whenever you're ready. So our company is called Industrial Taco, and we are tough as shell. And we have produced a completely indestructible sack that sits on the back of your bike seat. You can take it anywhere with you, and it detaches. So all of your valuables are locked up and safe. You don't have to worry about rain or snow or the jackass that hits you while you're trying the new bike lanes here in Pittsburgh. So that's who we are. It's simple, and we think we have enough market appeal to launch.
Where's my May? Here, David. Fun again. Oh.
Hi. You were a bookworm growing up. You had no brothers and sisters and very few friends. It's sad. Now you're a successful IT entrepreneur, accountant, city manager. You've got a little bit of money and a lot of time on your hands, and you want to have fun. Fun like you did when you were 5 years old and you couldn't go outside because you also had eczema and you had a skin condition and there was all kinds of environmental factors because particles were in the air, right? Fun Again is a social service that connects you with those old-time games or maybe some new games that you haven't heard of yet. Maybe you never got a chance to play soccer. Sign up with this social service, this social app, this box, this object that can magically connects you with other people who want to play that game. Maybe it's soccer, maybe it's Ring Around the Rosie. Have fun again, be inspired, live through the mind of a child.
June, right? We're on June. Where's my boy? There he comes. If we could have July and August and everybody queue up. No, I'll hold it. I'll take partial responsibility for this.
Hey everybody, I'm John. I'm sponsored with RentRef, but I'm going to talk about my new business called Noisy Jagoff. And that's a middle finger right there in the middle if you can't see it. So Noisy Jagoff is a shaming blog. It shames the noisy jagoffs you hear in bars, at sports games, on the street, here in Allentown, here in this building. So that's where we've gotten our inspiration for it, our great team. We make money because if you get on Noisy Jagoff, you have to pay us to get taken down. Thank you very much.
Good. July, please. Who's July? The Henry Pyatt is July. This should be really good. We're excited. It was a big team, too. It was a big team.
Okay, our words were hot and blonde. So our company name is Hop Blonde. Hop Blonde is a kit that you pick up at your local brewing store. The marketing is what we think is going to sell this thing. You can see in the very vivid and detailed illustration here near Josh's midsection that there's a blow-up doll brewing a batch of beer. That's our label for our packaging. And the tagline is barley legal. So you're going to be picking up kits in a nice little box that have all the ingredients to brew a batch of beer at home. That's so easy, a blow-up doll could do it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. August. The great Richard.
All right, so our word was feisty astronaut. And so we created, for all those people out there that missed out when they were a kid on space camp, we now have the feisty astronaut adult space camp. So think Tough Mudder meets beer and space camp. So you get to run around, and in between courses, you'll stop and do space trivia. And the admission is $100 and a 12-pack of beer to share it with your teammates. And you get drunk, run around, learn a little bit about space. Thanks.
Woo, good job. September. Oh, uh-oh. There we go.
Hello. Okay, so our business is Sluggish Blonde. So what it is if you're ever stressed, which obviously you are stressed if you're driving in Pittsburgh. Whew. Anyway, so anytime you're stressed, it'll send you alerts showing you relaxation techniques and more so like businesses in the area that can help you relax, like tea shops, yoga studios. So we make money by partnering with those businesses in the area, and then every time you go, we get a little percentage of money. So, Sluggish Blonde, yeah.
Oh. October. Oh, okay. November. Ken Wolf, Allentown, man about town.
Hello, everybody. So, do you like shakes? I like shakes. Welcome to the Red Avocado. This is a nice red solo cup with an avocado and a straw coming out of it. So we are going to be a non-GMO healthy smoothie. We're going to get ACHD permits and also city business permits so that we're legal for your health. We are going to only have local farmers market produce. We are also going to point you to the local farmers markets through the open data from the city. This is also going to be a Red Bull, but healthy. So we have a lovely truck. Our shakes are going to be $4.75. Look for us at your local farmers market.
Right, good job, good job. December.
So our words were magnetic ninja, so we just kind of ran with it. We're going to do a social network for martial artists and dojos. It's kind of like a very secretive world, so we wanted to make a place that, you know, kind of has all the information that you need, because there's nothing like that now. So you can find sparring partners, you can find different competitions, and that's how we make money, by collecting a small fee from different competitions, different dojos, people who want to train other people in self-defense. We'll also do advertising for different stores that sell like gis and the Budo sticks and stuff like that. So yeah, Magnetic Ninja, and our logo's awesome.
Sounds like something Rand Paul might be into.
You guys are awesome. Those were fantastic. This is what everybody has been looking at as they've been presenting. For those of you that haven't been on stage yet, this is what you'll see as you pitch your real ideas shortly. And this is what you'll hear. Did you hear that? Ding. And you'll have 10 seconds left. And I'll talk about that more in a minute. What does it do? Applause. Yes. Okay, good. Who controls the slides? I do. So we did this. You did that. This weekend, will you meet a co-founder? Will you learn a new skill? Will you validate an idea? Will you meet a co-founder and build a team? Probably a couple of these things. I think, in general, Startup Weekend is powerful as an educational and inspirational experience. And I know many times we have teams that continue. Usually there's one from every Startup Weekend. I've been to about a dozen of these, and I've seen some of those teams continue on for many months. Some of them get funded, some of them start real businesses. But more than that, I've seen the people that come through get really inspired and just realize they have access to a lot more than they thought. They have a lot more resources. They have a local network that cares about them, that will support them. And I think that's what I'm most passionate about. And you've heard Josh talk about his passions tonight, and you'll continue to hear those throughout the weekend. But I want to enable you to do any of these things and anything else you've dreamed, and I'll probably try to push you into something you hadn't thought of throughout the weekend. I think these numbers are up to date. We have about 200,000 people that have been through a Startup Weekend around the world. I don't know how many of you know that last year we did 1,200 or so of these, and I don't remember the number, over 125 different countries. So it is really an international phenomenon, and this is a quick map that shows you, I don't know if you can read these, but there are about a dozen Startup Weekends happening tonight. Well, it's in a different time zone, and so they're happening around the clock this weekend. You've got Kuwait, Pittsburgh, Jatai, I don't even know how to say some of these, Busan, Central Coast, Taipei, Milan, Charleston, Chia, London, Estado de Mexico, Santa Cruz. So you are among friends, and I think we might even try to connect with one of these teams on the opposite side of the world at some point tomorrow or Sunday, and you guys can just peek at what each other are doing and recognize that you truly are part of an international movement to revive entrepreneurship. So we have some national partners that help us in the US. 3M, who has provided your giant Post-its and tiny Post-its and medium-sized Post-its, which you'll use a lot throughout the weekend. And Sprint, without them, we really couldn't put this on. Startup Weekend doesn't really operate with a profit margin. We spend all of the money that we have on you guys for each weekend. You just kind of pay for yourself and this experience, and these guys fill in the gaps. You're drinking some Coca-Cola, probably, and you have some goodies from Google for Entrepreneurs. You'll also have stuff from Eventbrite. You will receive a domain from .co, should you choose to use it. Those are good through Thursday, so don't worry about rushing to sign up for something this weekend. If you can't think of the perfect domain name, you have a few extra days after the weekend to do so. All of this stuff will be emailed to you with the email address that you used to sign up for the event. So that'll come back. This we should have deleted from the deck. Did you cover venue logistics already? Okay. This, I don't know what that is. And now, let's talk about how the rest of the night will go. We're going to do pitches. Once everybody has pitched their ideas, we're going to vote on them. The best ideas will rise to the top. by votes from everyone in the room. Then we will form teams around those ideas that have risen to the top. And then you'll have some time to start brain dumping, just like you did with your half-baked ideas, and start thinking about what your MVP might be for the weekend and how you'll divide tasks between the team members and what resources you have and what you still need. Maybe think about which mentors you hope to meet with tomorrow by looking at their LinkedIn profiles on that page. I encourage you to Google stalk them a little bit. So that's the rest of tonight. And I'm going to skip the weekend schedule because I don't think this is actually updated, is it? No. Pitch process is going to go like this. Let's make a line since the staircase is here on this side of the stage. Don't do it yet. I'm still talking, but don't all jump at once either. You're going to get in line here to pitch. You're going to have 60 seconds once you're on stage, and I'll be down here with the timer just like I was. And let's do this. Are you going to pass microphone between people? I need one other organizer to write signs. Richard will be positioned with a pen and these yellow pads in a chair right down here, off to the side, like this. And you're going to stop here, and you're going to talk to Richard briefly, and you're going to tell him the name of your startup. He's going to write it large on one square of paper, and you're going to hold that in front of you while you're talking for 60 seconds. So we have a visual, we connect your face and the name of your business, okay? And then he's also going to write the name of your startup on a second page because he's going to keep a list of all the people that pitch so that I have an exhaustive list of them. In that 60 seconds that you're pitching, you want to tell us your name, the name of your business, the problem that you're solving, the solution that you have, and what kind of resources you need to gather to yourself to accomplish it this weekend. So that would include what you bring to the table as well. So you want to tell us like what your skill set is and then what the other things that you need are. And when you hear that 10-second warning at the end of your 60 seconds, if you haven't started telling us what you need, I think that's a good time for you to switch. And just because people are going to need to know, you need a developer, you need a graphic designer, you need a marketing strategist, you need a financial guru. So in that last 10 seconds, make sure you get that in. What else can I tell you about the anatomy of a pitch? I think that about covers it. Animations. And then we'll vote. But I think I'm skipping ahead. I forget whether this is educational or not. Let's just go, we'll go through this now. And then you'll build the team. You're going to want, I'm trying to decide whether to do this now or after.
Let's do it after. Let's do
Yeah, you want to get to the main event? Okay. It's going to be awkward to do this later. I'm going to do it now. Okay. So 60% of all startups fail, and that's due to team issues. So it's going to be very important that you build your team carefully, and you're going to be doing it quickly tonight, but still try to do it thoughtfully. You want to have diverse skill sets. So, you know, if you have a very dev-heavy idea that just requires a lot of back-end development, and you attract 4 of the developers in the room to your team, not only are you making the other teams really going to suffer because they're not going to have developers, but you don't have someone that's probably strong on graphic design, and your final presentation is going to be a PowerPoint with a bunch of fancy images. So you need that person as well. So just make sure that you have a diverse skill set. No one is CEO. This is very important, I think. For a startup weekend, everyone wears many hats, and you really don't want to spend any time trying to decide who's in charge or how you're going to split equity if the thing goes big, or who's an owner and who's not. Things like that will really be a waste of time, and you want to be transparent about what your expectations are along those lines. If you have any strong expectations going into it, you want to be very transparent about that with your other teammates from the very beginning so there are no surprises. I think Okay, we are actually going to do that later. Sorry, we're using a slightly different deck order, I think, than before. I'm going to leave this up while we pitch. And let's go ahead and dive into pitching. So let's do it this way. Since you are the pitchers and the audience, let's not have everyone get in line, because you want to listen to the other pitches even while you're preparing for your own pitch. And I would encourage you to take notes. Maybe if you think of some questions that you have about someone's idea while they're pitching, write those down, because you won't remember them all. You're going to hear a lot of pitches right now. If your idea isn't one that is voted to the top, you want to be prepared to join someone else's team and really dive in head first and contribute to that team for the rest of the weekend. So you're preparing to pitch, but you're also listening. And why don't we have 5 to 7 people line up at a time? And when you see this line start to get short over here by this chair, then you can just kind of replenish it little by little. So let's go ahead. Maybe the first 5 of you that are ready to pitch, go ahead and get in line. And Richard will get the first name.
Come on, don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be shy.
Here we go. Come on, Jim. Come on, Dan. Come on,
And I'm going to get the pitch timer ready. Okay.
This is Anthony. He runs Deco Resources, which is an amazing environmental consulting firm.
Hello.
Who you are, which problem, which solution, what you're looking for. Who you are, which problem, which solution, who you're looking for.
Are you ready?
I am ready, yeah.
Mic to your mouth.
Take it away.
Hello, my name is Anthony Stewart, and our team is Deco Resources LLC. We provide sustainability planning for design, engineering, construction, and operations. Many businesses waste time and money by not managing their resources sustainably. Our solution is a service called Ecosystem, a small business sustainability accelerator. Ecosystem is the culmination of 3 years of research and practice in Pittsburgh by a team of more than a dozen professionals and students working with Deco. Starting in October, we will select 8 to 10 businesses to work with over the next 6 months to address sustainability across the fields of energy, social engagement, supply chain, transportation, waste, and water. The result will provide 3 benefits, including improved revenue, decreased cost, and a greater awareness of the participating companies. We are looking for a motivated team to join our ecosystem.
All right, Jim, come on up, sir.
Wait, where's his paper? We need to, hey, Richard, let's give each person a large, just a full sheet of paper with their name writ large on it. They can even just stick it on their chest.
Earth, air, and the deep. I'm sorry? Earth, air, and the deep.
Earth, air, and the deep.
If you see me sweating, it's because of the jerk chicken. My name is Jim Harrison. I've been developing a traveler information program called Earth, Air, and the Deep. The problem is a lot of times transportation is not coordinated and it's hard to find orientation to it. EAD coordinates and standardizes public transportation information services online using postal codes, navigation directions, GPS, and short logical codes. According to the American Public Transportation Association, in 2014, Americans took 10 billion trips on public transportation, $61 billion industry which employs more than 400,000 people. The benefit is that it will coordinate services within a single source. If I said, how do you get from Greensburg to Pittsburgh Airport, it takes 2 agencies in order to do that. In regard to orientation, which corner would you stand on to catch a vehicle? Or what anyway, I am looking for a programmer and financial help in creating a small local text-based demo to further develop the program and the graphic.
Good job, Jim. Good job. Good job. Time tender.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Little, and the problem that I'm solving is to encourage more volunteer engagement on socially minded and environmentally minded projects in the community through volunteerism. And the project, my solution is called Time Tender, which is essentially a web application designed to create networks of service around social and environmentally oriented projects. And the way this works is utilizes volunteer hours to be able to be used as time credits, which you can then spend in the community at local businesses and anchor institutions. As volunteers use the platform, they are automatically networked with other volunteers that are working on similar social causes and issues and can trade time credits with these volunteers, which ultimately creates social networks based off of what is done and not what is said. I'm looking for developers, graphic designers, human-computer interaction students, all to work on a project to develop a pilot study app that will help determine the return on investments for the different organizations and volunteers and businesses and organizations that are participating.
Good job, Dan. Let's queue up some more. Who else is pitching tonight? Come on up. Don't be shy. Jamar? Where'd Jamar go? Come on, Jamar. Get up here, man.
Hi, I'm Toya, and I'm pitching Iron Will. And Iron Will is an educational development and curriculum development organization that is committed to ensuring that the opportunities that everyone has is created together. So if we're creating a learning infrastructure, it has to be based on the skill set that everyone has in the community also. And so the holistic engineering education path is designed to be able to identify the different skill sets that organizations have in the community, to be able to utilize those to share that with youth, to use that in the form of mentorship, entrepreneurial pursuits, making sure that students understand the connection between quantum physics and their personality in the future through engineering, and also are able to tune their fine motor skills through arts. I'm looking for other people interested in education, curriculum development, a designer for our interactive online website. Thank you.
Good job. Good job. Jamar, here you go, man. Good stuff.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamar Bay, and I work with kids. I want to solve the problem of helping at-risk youth receive the Pittsburgh Promise, which is a scholarship. In Pittsburgh Public Schools, the teachers, the resource providers, and the social workers are overworked with the kids, and oftentimes the kids don't meet the Pittsburgh Promise criteria. They have to go into the computer and find out one by one if the kids meets the criteria, which is academics, attendance, and behavior. So if you have a guy who has 50 kids on his caseload, each week he has to find out. And it could take one report period before this kid can follow that criteria. So what I'm thinking is if we can create an app that will give these children an opportunity to, if this kid falls out of criteria, within 1 week, that app would give you an email or a text to the parent or the person who's working with that kid and let him know that something needs to be done to get him with the criteria so that he doesn't blow his scholarship. Thank you.
Who else is pitching? Let's queue up. Come on. Let's keep it moving, please. Don't be shy. You got to pitch. It doesn't work if you don't pitch. Come on. Don't be shy.
Hello, my name is Jason McCoy. The problem that I would like to address are there are a ton of vacant and derelict lots around Pittsburgh and out of Pittsburgh, and how I'd like to fix that is to gamify it. So basically, I would like to have the lots, have an app, and you can see the lots online, and people will be able to invest into things to put on these lots, whether it be like playgrounds, slides, gardens, etc. So just like in a video game, you could choose where you want it to go on the plot, and there will be cameras so you can actually monitor the development over time, just like games like Farmville or DayZ or popular like resourcing management games like that. And what I would need to do that are developers, specifically game developers, app developers, and marketers, sales, and people that would actually go out and approach businesses to sponsor us and give us the materials that we need to build this project up. Thank you.
Good job, sir. Come, my dear. I don't know. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Harmony, and I'm a human-centered computing specialist.
I'm working on an application called iBoard. So basically, we see papers, flyers everywhere, but who really looks at them and who takes their time to either take a picture of it if you find it interesting? So the solution to that is to have an application, create an application where organizer or anyone in a certain community will go online and post it throughout different organizations, universities, companies, so that anyone will be able to access those events. And we will ask the question, why would we need that? It's because now we only have paper pins, and we still have it with all the technology out there because it's the only thing that works. So I will need designer, developers, and also marketers. Thank you.
Good job, good job. Who else has a great idea? What about Ken Wolf? You got a great idea, don't you, Ken Wolf? Oh, you got one? Oh, awesome.
We just came up with this back there, so.
Good, I like it. Do it.
Hey everyone, my name's Steve Wells. I'm actually with RentRef, which is a sponsor here, but John and I were talking in the back, and I thought this was a fun time to try and present a brand new idea that we just came up with. Partly because actually my brother's co-founding a drone company, so I know that the answer for this is not a technical solutions problem, but we thought it would be really interesting from a big data civic economic perspective to basically do a set of tethered drones that would comply with FAA regulations to actually look down on the city, that you could monitor the pulse, if you will, of an entire system, so that as people move around the city, you can actually watch, overlaid on top of Google Maps, how many people are going into what store, when, at which times, and then how communities are actually developing in relation to how people and cars are moving throughout them. I don't think privacy would be a huge concern, because we can sort of layer in the algorithm to measure as detailed as we want. We called it Drone Space, and I didn't know who was in the audience, so if anyone has any expertise, or it'd be fun to talk about, so thank you guys.
Good job. Other great ideas. Here, Steve. Other great ideas. All right, Ken Wolf's got a good idea. Who else? Excellent. Don't be shy. This is your shot. This is your chance to make a huge impact on your community.
While we're doing the last few pitches, who can I commission? Can I give you a task? Can you distribute to everyone in the room 3 small pink Post-it notes? Yeah?
Ready, Ken Wolf?
So mine is actually neighborhood centric. I wouldn't call it neighbor space, but that's the only thing I could come up with. So I actually want facial recognition for homes, so that we could do a neighborhood inventory of every neighborhood in the city. So I actually sit on the CDC board for Allentown, and we are actually looking, or I wanted to propose a neighborhood survey so we know where we are. So we can tell what's blighted, if it's a 2.5-story house, if it's a detached home, that type of thing. Now this is out there, technically, in the county website, but I want to be able to do it almost real time so that it can update itself pretty much with just going out and taking a picture. So that's it. I need pretty much everybody, because I just came up with this idea in the background, so.
Good job, sir. Take that with you. Goose Chase, that's a great name.
Thank you. All right. Hi, my name's Marissa, and basically Goose Chase is a social media app to show you the trending hotspots in your area, specifically bars. So users will be notified when a bar is populated real time. It's great because if you're going to a new city and you don't know where to go, it notifies you when a popular place is trending, and you get to meet new people and find the best place to go and spend your time on a Friday, Saturday night. So with that, I want to incorporate a one-for-one model somewhat. So every time you use the app, a portion of revenue generated would go back to your favorite charity. So it would keep a running tab of all users, how much time they spend on the app, and then that would be incorporated into their profile, and you would keep a tally and see how much you can generate for charity. So basically, that's my idea, and I would need coders, developers, and anyone that has a positive attitude, wants to change the world, and meet new people. Cool.
Good job.
Thanks.
One more queuing up here, I believe. Anyone else? Who's got a great idea?
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Larry Joya. I'm a Pittsburgher, like many of you. I'm a serial entrepreneur and a director at PricewaterhouseCoopers. When I'm not working in management consulting, I'm thinking a lot about how we can make Pittsburgh a better place to live. My idea is not about data. It's about being kind to each other and being people. By a show of hands, when's the last time someone did a random act of kindness for you? Anybody? That's a problem. My idea is to change that and make Pittsburgh a better place. So the idea is simply this. The next time you go and do a random act of kindness for somebody, you give them one of these cards. And on this card is a simple ID tracker. I need to build a website where they can track this random act of kindness, and then they take that idea and pay it forward to someone else, and they pay it forward to someone else. Simple idea. Let's see how far kindness can go. Let's make Pittsburgh the kindest city on the planet. I need developers, a graphic designer, and someone to make this idea real. Thanks so much.
Last call. Should we peer pressure them into doing more? We should definitely peer pressure. Yes, Henry Pyatt would like to hear more great ideas. Who's out there? Who's out there chewing on an idea? Oh, here comes another one. Toya, you doing a second one? Why not? Sure. Don't be shy. There's so many talented people in the room just waiting to support you. Developers and graphic designers and Steve Sharon, lawyer extraordinaire. It's true. He can tell you whether that whole drone thing will fly. I bet he has some strong ideas about the drones. Come on up, Toya. We'll do number 2.
Sure, why not? Since we're doing the whole peer pressure thing. Yeah. So mobile landscape. Mobile landscape is an idea that I had that would pretty much track what you do on your mobile device, including the strokes that you make, and kind of detail what motions you make. What does that look like? And kind of creates a geographical space to help you identify what you do most, what time you're doing it most. Maybe even in the background have a app that runs and says which apps you use the most, and kind of helps you with efficiency to be able to create a culture that we're not so much on our app maybe, and we're realizing how much we use the mobile landscape and versus communicating or talking to the person beside us in the library, or not the library, or the coffee shop. And so I think that this kind of app could potentially ensure that we are engaging each other more than our phones, and ensuring that we're not wasting as much time. I'd be interested in helping or identifying folks that could do that. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Wrap it up. Oh, okay, good. Anthony's going for broke.
All right, so I had this idea pitched to me by one of our interns yesterday. It's called the reverse vending machine. So basically, it is a recycling program. It would be at the University of Pittsburgh, and the problem is the University of Pittsburgh is actually doing a very good job of recycling their waste. However, there's a huge population in South Oakland that doesn't have access to that. The only way you can recycle in South Oakland is if you have a blue bag, and not many grocery stores are available to receive those. So the idea is that you would take your, particularly aluminum, we would start with aluminum cans, aluminum products, you would take that to this vending machine, give the cans to the vending machine, and that would put money on your Pit Panther card, or you would get some kind of credit for that. So for this idea, we are looking for some process designers that would help us figure out how we would actually collect these cans and give people credit for it.
Collab. I like it. Good job.
All right, how's it going, everyone? My name's Kenny, and Collab is actually not an original idea. It's based off of an existing global platform called Public Lab, which is a fantastic place for civic science to happen. And if you're not familiar with the concept, it's essentially citizens, community members, anyone going out, measuring the water levels, the air pollution levels, using Spec, which is actually one of the popular tools on there, and uploading the data that they gather from here into this platform, this network, where you have people all around the world who are willing to help you drive policy issues or create inventions, any kind of thing to solve environmental or other issues. So if I can get somebody or a team to work with me to build a public lab base here, even find a way to monetize it potentially, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Collab. Good. Here we go. Here's a new one.
Cool. I came up with this about 30 seconds ago, so I'll do my best to explain. So my name is Smitha. I'm a UX and graphic designer, so if you need to recruit me, hey. So I have this idea of, my idea is called Humanizing the Homeless. Maybe we could come up with a better name together. The idea is that we could build some kind of app that tracks when you're moving around the city, maybe when you're walking down the street, it'll generate random alerts to give you ideas for how to engage the homeless. Maybe, like tips on certain things that you can buy to help people out. There could even be a component where you can take photos of people on the street, talk to them, get their story, and maybe catalog them in a database or something so that there's some centralized system to help people just become more aware of these people who are just so overlooked and who are just in real need of help. I guess I've got design covered, but dev, people with connections to homeless communities, to homeless shelters, anything like that. So thank you.
Last call. Okay, so now we're going to form teams, and Michael's going to tell you all about it.
Oh, give yourself another big round of applause. There's some great ideas in there. I'm excited to see which ones make it. So let's just talk really briefly before we do this about building the teams. You're going to be doing two things as you vote. You're going to be, if you pitched an idea, you're going to be, let's say, campaigning for your idea. You want to be recruiting votes. But everybody in this room should have, at this point, received three pink Post-its. Raise your hand if you haven't, and we'll get you one. We got one over here. Probably was on stage while we passed them out. And you're going to be distributing your 3 votes. Can you vote for yourself? No, let's not do that. Let's vote for other people. And I'm inviting everybody to vote, mentors, volunteers. If you're in the room, you're part of the Pittsburgh community, and I would like to know what you think should exist. And especially since this is a civic edition, I really would like to know what you as a whole, as a community, want to see worked on for the weekend. Now, as you build teams, you want to recruit the skill sets that you need very vigorously. Look for the people that you need. Try to convince them to be on your team. And I guess I don't really have a lot more to say about that. I'm kind of skipping around. Judging criteria from a high level include validation, which is really just making sure that your product fits the actual market. And we'll push you out of the building tomorrow afternoon to do actual customer validation exercises. And the judges will later ask you how that went and what you learned from it. Execution and design is somewhat self-explanatory. We'll be looking at how you pulled off your idea, how extensive your MVP is. Did you really build a website or an app? That's not required, but if you can at least demonstrate that it is feasible and get a good head start on it so that we know, yeah, you could build it, and here's how it would work, that's going to be really important. And then your business model is going to include things like financial projections, a supply chain if you're building a physical object. I don't know, did anybody pitch a physical object today? That's right. And a go-to-market strategy and a few other things. Now, we'll pass out the judging criteria. I'd like to print it up on a piece of paper and give everyone a copy of it physically. We will also email it to you tomorrow, so you'll be able to look at that and keep it in mind as you work throughout the weekend. It'll have more granular questions below each of these, a bunch of bullet points, so they will help explain them to you. And if you have questions about that, we can talk about it in person. Now, tonight, you won't be picking a work area because we're going to move to a different building tomorrow, and I'll let Josh explain that later. But you will, I suppose the most important thing you can do tonight is exchange contact information. So once you've formed a team later, you want to trade email address. So appoint one person to collect everyone's email addresses and phone numbers, and then right away send out a group email address or a group email to everyone on the address, so you have a thread going tonight. That way you don't lose track of each other in the morning. Okay, now we're back on track. That was a video. Now we vote. These slides are all out of order. We messed it up earlier today, sorry. So it's throwing me off. But let's go ahead and do our voting. And the way that I want to do this tonight is somewhat organic. And because of the way that this facility is working, let's just, if you pitched an idea, you have your sign with you. And I think you probably just want to hold that sign up so that people can find you. And maybe spread out around the perimeter of the room somewhat and mill about. Be easily noticeable, be available for questions. This, if you know what team you'd like to work on, obviously you're going to go and vote for their idea. Don't put all of your votes on one idea. Distribute them. And let me open it up for questions. I bet there are a few. What have you got back there? I did. Yeah. Yeah, pink notepads for votes. Don't vote for your own. Don't put all your votes on one. Spread your votes out. And feel free to ask your visionary pitcher some questions. Does anybody still need to vote? Just give me a show of hands if you need more time. We need more time. I'm giving you 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. Negotiate. Okay, I understand all of the votes have been distributed. And now let's see how they have fallen. Does anybody have more than a dozen votes? Has anybody secured more than a dozen votes? Somebody has? I'm seeing a finger point, my finger points. Dozen votes over there. 10 votes or more. Show me your hand if you have received 10 votes or more. 10 votes or more. Okay, I want 10 votes or more to come and join me at the front of the room, please. 10 votes or more. Now, right now is when I do a little bit of juggling, and it doesn't have to be awkward, but it could be. Let's see what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 people up here with me, and I know how many people are going to be here throughout the weekend. Now, one thing that I want to say at some point tonight, so I'll say it now, is that every weekend there is a little bit of an attrition rate. Somebody has pitched an idea tonight, and it doesn't get voted up, and they're disappointed. Or maybe they knew coming in that if they didn't get voted up, they weren't going to stay, and they were willing to take that chance, and that's fine with me. There are a variety of reasons that you might not come back. There are a couple of you in the room that are already thinking, I'm not going to do this tomorrow. That's fine. I hope that you do come back, but if you don't, will you just do me this? Come and tell me that you're not coming back. And let me know why. Maybe it's because you hate my face. Maybe it's because you didn't get voted up. It doesn't matter why. I just would like to know, because it breaks my heart when you leave, because I'm like supposed to be your caretaker. So at this point, I know how many of you have signed up and showed up as an attendee for the weekend, and I know what I want my average team size to be. So I want a couple more teams than this, and so the next thing I have to do is ask, how many of you received 9 votes? No one? Are you counting? You're counting. Give you a second. 9 votes? No? 8? Did anybody receive 8 votes? Yes? Toya, come on up. Anybody receive 8 votes? Anybody else? Do I have 7 people up here? I do. I want one more. Did anybody receive 7 votes? 1, 2, 3 people received 7 votes. See, this is where it gets awkward, because I don't want 10 teams, because that would make an average team size of like 3, and that's not going to work. So we might stick with 7 and have a slightly higher average team size. Now, something else that happens at a startup weekend is you got a lot of votes for your team, for your idea, because the community thinks it should exist. You might discover in the next few moments that while they think it should exist, they can't imagine working on it. And you might have a hard time recruiting a team. In that case, don't be disheartened. You've been told that your idea is brilliant, and you're just too much of a visionary. at this time for this group, or the skill sets just don't really exist in the room, and that always happens to at least one team. Join another team. If the team that you hoped to work on didn't get voted up, think about why you wanted to join them, and look at another team that has a similar business model, maybe a similar business model to something that you want to do yourself, because you'll be able to learn a lot over the weekend working in that dynamic. There are a variety of ways to pick something brilliant to work on, but in a minute we're going to start forming teams. If during that time you find a team develops around an idea that didn't get voted up, and you have a solid 4 people, I would accept 3 if you had a good diverse skill set. Come and talk to me. Come and talk to Josh and let us know, hey, we have a team around this idea and we really want to do it, but it didn't get more than 6 votes. And very likely we'll say, yeah, let's make that happen. Let's do it. So things are fudgeable, but for now, these are your 7 voted teams, and let's give them a round of applause, yeah? I am, once I release you to form teams around these ideas, I'm going to quickly get their names up onto this slide so that you can glance at that. Maybe Josh can start doing that now. So you'll have them up there. And are there any questions at this point? All right, let's do it. Let's make some teams around these ideas. You guys might want to take off all of those purple things so people can read the name of your idea, come find you. Oh, wait, I'm forgetting something. So we accidentally deleted some slides from the deck tonight, so I'm racking my brain to remember what cues I normally would have. Really quickly, let's just do 20 to 30 seconds, and hopefully you have a good feel for what that feels like now. Give us a reminder of what your idea is. I think it would be good to have a refresher, yeah? Let's start with Toya. And I'll just let you pass the microphone down just really briefly. You don't have to explain it in depth, just a reminder.
Okay. Community engagement that takes all the community stakeholders to identify ways to create multiple pathways to success for everyone together.
A game/app that helps develop vacant and derelict lots into usable spaces.
Let's give them the names too. This is Iron Will. Josh, it's IERN Will. And this is Space Engagers. Yeah, like invaders, but engagers. And now we have Time Tender.
So Time Tender is a mobile application designed to create networks of service around social or environmentally minded projects by enabling volunteer hours to be used as time credits, which you can then spend in the community at local anchor institutions or businesses.
And I'm Larry from the Pittsburgh Kindness Initiative, looking to build a very simple web application that allows us to track kindness, starting in Pittsburgh, and track that everywhere around the world.
Okay, humanizing the homeless, giving people productive, meaningful ways to help humanize homeless people they may pass on the street, giving them, giving homeless people a voice as well by cataloging their stories and photos in one place.
I'm Jamar from Fulfilling the Promise, and we want to create an app to track at-risk youth so to make sure that they can receive the Pittsburgh Promise, and if they fall below criteria, we can find out before they get so far behind where they can't receive the scholarships. We want to send kids to college.
All right, and Kenny Chen, representing CoLab, or Pittsburgh Public Lab, and essentially launching Pittsburgh into a global community of civic scientists by bringing together students, makers, community members to measure, record, and throw helpful information into the open data atmosphere. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to let you guys spread out, and let's form teams around these brilliant ideas. If anybody has trouble finding a team, come talk to me, talk to Josh, talk to one of the other organizers. I will help you find a team. If you're missing certain skill sets from your team, come tell me, and I'll try to find you a person that does that. Let's have fun with this. Mingle about. James. Can you strike up the music?
Hey guys, we just want to talk real quick about logistics for tomorrow. So raise your hand if you know where the hardware store, now called Work Hard Pittsburgh, is. Very few of you, actually. That's shocking how few of you know this. Shame on you, first of all. So East Warrington Avenue is the main drag in Allentown. Our co-working space is like a block down the street on the main drag on East Warrington Avenue. Tomorrow, I'll be there very early, but we want you all there by 8:45, if at all possible. And we're going to work out of that space for the remainder of the day. We have another 20 people coming in to help you, and they're going to flush out your teams. So please, 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 come on back tomorrow, and we'll get it all going. Make sure you get all of your contact information from each other tonight. Get numbers so that you can text angry messages to each other if anybody tries to bail on you. And we're going to go really far and really fast this weekend. Not kicking you out. Stay as long as you like, but we'll see you tomorrow morning, first thing.